Hi, everyone. Welcome to this training camp edition of First and North. So exciting. I'm Lou Canellis. Joining me this week on First and North, the voice of the Detroit Lions, Dan Miller. From Fox Milwaukee, Lily Zhao. From Fox Minneapolis, Ahmad Hicks. Football is back. Lions reported early since they'll play in the Hall of Fame game next Thursday. Are you guys as excited as I am? How about it, Lily?
I am stoked. The fact that you said football is this close to being back, I'm so excited. I think the offseason was really fun, but there's nothing like the football season, so I'm ready for it to get going.
Ahmad, what do you think, man? Are you jacked?
Oh, yeah. You know football is back when my friends are texting me. I'm a commissioner of a fantasy football league, and some guys are like, look, I need to do some mock drafts to get prepared for the season. Can you unlock our league? So, yes, that reminded me that football is indeed back.
And no one's busier than Dan Miller, right, Dan?
Hey, Lions have been on the field. They had their third practice today. So, yeah, it's exciting. They're back. Like you said, they have a game a week from Thursday in the Hall of Fame game. So I'm sure we'll see mostly young guys there. But this kind of extends training camp for them, although Dan Campbell says in the end they'll have about the same amount of practices. But, look, it's fun being back out there, seeing them in uniform. The pads are coming on later this week. That's when it really ramps up. So it's been great to get back to football and start to answer some of these questions that are hanging on out there about this team.
Yeah, there are plenty of them for all four teams in the NFC North. Dan, I want to stick with you because, as you mentioned, Lions veterans reported the 19th. They opened camp the following day. Dan Campbell said that the offensive line needs to be sorted out. Tate Rattledge taking first-team reps at center. Do you like Rattledge as your starting center?
I'm going to let you know in a couple of weeks because we need to see those pads come on. We need to see some pressure coming, and he's got to be able to identify defenses and work with Jared Goff and get on the same page with him. This is a big part of what this team has to do during training camp, and there's some real urgency here. You know pretty much that the three guys up front are going to be Tate Rattledge, Graham Glasgow, and then Mahogany at the other guard. The question is, will it be Glasgow, the veteran, at center, or will it be Tate Rattledge at center? They'd like it to be Rattledge, the second-round draft pick out of Georgia. He's the guy getting the first-team reps right now. But the question is, you're stepping in for a guy who's one of the best football players in the league in Frank Ragnow. Can you identify the defenses? Can you hold up in the running game? Can you hold up in the passing game? All of those things have to be answered. You're not going to answer that till at least the pads come on. And I would say this, keep an eye on those joint practices they have, 2 of them coming up this year, because that's when you're going to get the other teams throwing some things at you that maybe you haven't seen before. But they're going to put Tate Rattledge to the test to see if he can handle it.
Wow, Ragnow with such big shoes to fill. Lions won a franchise best 15 games last season, fell short of their Super Bowl goal, losing to the Commanders. Running back David Montgomery said they are sick of being close.
Everybody's out here hungry. You know, we tired of just being like at the close. Everybody's tired of being close. You know, it's cool to be close at first, but you don't want to get comfortable with being close all the time. That's not what you want to be known for, especially when you know you got the guys that you got on this team, and you know you want to finish it. So that's the year. This is the year for us. You know, the year of the reckoning and the year that we choose that we need to finish.
Hey Dan, is this year they get it done?
You know what? They're not hiding from the fact that that's their goal, but they're also not hiding from the fact that there's a long way between now and what they ultimately want to do. But look, David Montgomery, and you know him from your days his days in Chicago, he's a smart guy. And he understands in this league that you don't get to keep teams together for very long. And the Lions have some massive decisions coming up here on guys that need second contracts and the realities of the salary cap. So this group, we don't know if they'll be back together next year or if they're going to be able to keep everybody. So there is a sense of urgency here to maximize this opportunity, something that they weren't able to do last year. Injuries had a lot to do with that. But I don't think his words should be lost on anybody. They understand what they're capable of, but they also understand that things are going to change in the future, so you need to be able to get that done now if possible.
All right, the other 3 NFC North teams reported to camp today: Vikings, Packers, Bears. I'm going to go to Minnesota first. Vikings brass met with the media today. Ahmad, what do they have to say?
pretty much the same old cliche stuff that they say at the start of every season, that everyone's back, they're optimistic, they built the roster to make it look like they're a contender on paper. Now it's the time to bring that to reality for all these fans and the Minnesota Vikings lovers out there. J.J. McCarthy, Christian Darrisaw, Will Fries, all these guys reported to camp early, and none of them will be on the PUP list to begin the season. So that's huge news for the Vikings, especially when you talk about their revamped offensive line, with the interior being Ryan Kelly and Will Fries from Indianapolis coming on over, and then Donovan Jackson that they drafted out of Ohio State. So, you know, everyone's there. Everyone seems to be healthy and ready to go. So everyone keeps talking about J.J. McCarthy and what the team is going to look like, but they're very confident in him. And also Kwesi Adolphus-Mensah, the general manager, he was very definitive and defensive, should I say, when talking about backup quarterback Sam Howell. One of the reporters asked him, you know, he said, you don't have a lot of depth there in the quarterback room or the cornerback room. And he kind of challenged him. And he was like, we do have some experience with Sam Howell, and we first have to give our guys a chance in camp and see what they have before we go looking for someone else at the cornerback position. So seems like everyone's good to go right now.
Any crazy goals for McCarthy?
I don't think he has any crazy goals. Ultimately, he hasn't talked to us yet about that, but I'm sure he's just going to say the same old stuff. I want to help my team be better each and every day. I want to go out there and win as many games. One thing that Kevin O'Connell did say today was how they want to be versatile in their attack this year, and they want to be able to win the game in a variety of ways, whether that's defensively, running the ball, or airing it out with J.J. McCarthy. So this looks to be a well-balanced team, and they just have to show that on week 1, you know, versus the Bears Monday Night Football.
Here in Chicago, they were pretty open about Caleb Williams' goals. I'll get to that in a second. Lou, let me bring you in. Green Bay. What did the media learn out there in Green Bay today?
The Packers are in town. They're ready to go. They'll report first practice tomorrow. So we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst on Wednesday. But first of all, we learned today the Packers got a brand new locker room. It looks really great. So I'm sure the guys are going to be stoked to see that and talk to us about it. But this is a Packers team that's excited for the year to come, because listen, GM Brian Gutekunst over the offseason was not shy about talking about their sense of urgency. He says we have a really, really heightened sense of urgency. The guys believe we have a championship caliber roster. Now it's their time to go shine and prove it during training camp, to get the pieces in the right places, build that really, really good team, and see what they have. And it all starts, of course, with Jordan Love, and it trickles behind him. So a lot of eyeballs are going to be kind of clamoring to see the green and gold in action very shortly. And then we're going to learn a lot more about this team, obviously, once the pads do come on. All
right. Here in Chicago, Bears met with the media as well. Interesting to see. Don't know if any of you saw this over the weekend. All-pro cornerback Jaylon Johnson was placed on the non-football injury list, and today GM Ryan Poles had a press conference with the media for 2 minutes and 43 seconds, and he did not take questions. But he did say Johnson injured his leg while training, said it's going to take a few weeks. They're not concerned. I hope we shouldn't be concerned, because I am expecting big things out of Jaylon Johnson this season. He's the top guy in that Bears secondary. He leads arguably the strongest position on this team, cornerback. And in Dennis Allen's defense, which relies heavily on man coverage, I think that he can really shine. The guy's got size, he's got length, he's perfect for a press man corner. Jaquan Brisker held a youth football camp yesterday. Our Cassie Carlson had the chance to go out there and talk to Jaquan, and this is what Ben Johnson told the players to expect at training camp.
It's going to be hard, that we're going to work, that we're going to be where our feet are, but this is a new Bears era, which I love. I love about that. He told us in the meeting room, and it really caught my attention. He said, I want to build dynasties, and that's the first coach in like years, that came in and said that, and then the energy he said it, and I was right on board when he said that, so I felt great, and that dynasty word gave me chills.
All right, let me say this, and Ahmad, I know you have an opinion on this. I love the word dynasty, all right? I love thinking big. It's something that we all should dream about. But at least in Chicago with the Bears, before we think about dynasty, how about just winning games? All right, more games than we've lost. Let's get out of the basement of the NFC North. Bears have finished last in the division the past 3 seasons, 7 of the last 11 seasons. Let's get to the postseason again. It's been so long, and let's win a playoff game. It's been 14 years since the Bears won a playoff game, folks. But I appreciate Ben Johnson's glorious vision of building a dynasty here in this town. We want the Bears to enjoy success like the Chiefs and the Niners and the Eagles and, man, the ultimate, the Tom Brady Patriots, right? Biggest storyline for the Bears right now, how the relationship between Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams is going to grow. Williams said he wants to be coached hard. Johnson, Dan Miller, you have warned me, will do that. Johnson said his goal for Williams is to complete 70% of his passes this season. And Williams said his goal is to complete 70% of his passes and throw for 4,000 yards, which would be a first in this town because no Bears quarterback has ever thrown for 4,000 yards in a season. Yes, ever in the history of the Bears. By the way, Jared Goff set a career-high 72% last year completed passes, and he completed 68%. Just our Roger Blanco, our esteemed producer, doing a lot of research there, finding out about the percentage numbers for Jared Goff in 3 years under Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I think we're ready to go. The governor's off. He and I have been talking all spring, all summer. Constant phone calls, constant conversations, and so I think we're in a great place. And he wants to get coached hard, and we're going to push him as hard as we can and do what's right for the team.
Infrastructure-wise, coaches, I think we're all excited, but excitement does nothing. You got to go out there and put in the work to actually enjoy what we have.
Make it happen. I know one of the big points of emphasis during training camp, pre-snap procedure for our quarterback. Johnson wants to use it as a weapon. He wants to clean up Williams' footwork, wants him to learn how to use his feet a little bit better. Coach said that even Williams took home work during the summer break, and so far in the 3 days the quarterbacks have been in camp, he's already noticed some improvements. Good stuff. Dan, when I tell you what Johnson is saying, you understand, right? You've been working with this guy for years.
Look, Ben, number one, is a terrific football coach. Number two, he's a perfectionist. He has a way that he believes things need to be done, and he expects people to execute them in that fashion. But look, Lou, let's not sugarcoat this thing. This is huge for Caleb Williams. He's the number one overall draft pick who needs to maximize potential and show that he can be the kind of guy that Chicago thought he was when they picked him. And this is huge for Ben Johnson because this is his first opportunity to be a head coach, and he's tied at the hip to this quarterback. So you got two guys here that need to figure it out together, and much of the way that they're going to be thought about in their careers will be dictated by how they ultimately do work together. So I think it's a fascinating thing to keep an eye on in Chicago that has the potential to be really successful for both sides.
Hey, Dan, let me keep it with you. Last minute of this segment, another injury for the Lions on their defensive line. Tell me about it.
Levi Onwuzurike, we didn't see this one coming. They had re-signed him during the offseason. He was a free agent, and I'll be honest with you, this was one of my favorite signings during the offseason. Levi had really taken a step last season. His first couple of years of his career were just wrecked by injuries. Then last year, he was up there among defensive tackles and interior defensive linemen in pressures, and I thought he had a chance to take it from pressures to sacks this year and really be a high-impact player, so I was thrilled they had him back. But apparently that knee just kept going south on him, had surgery. It ended up being an ACL, and now he's done for the year. It's a big blow to a defensive line that is already without Aleem McNeil until probably mid-season. So two guys that they were counting on to be a part of that engine on the inside, and he also had some versatility where Onwuzurike could move to the outside, aren't going to be there for a while. So it's not the way you wanted to start camp, Lou, but if you know Dan Campbell, you know he's just going to say, I'm worried about the guys that are here and the guys that can play.
Yeah, that's what he said. Unbelievable news after what you guys went through last year. We need to take a time out. When we come back here on First and North, more NFL Top 100 lists. Two more players from the best division in football are named. And wait till you hear what a Packer had to say about the Bears' victory at Lambeau Field. Comes your way next here on First and North.
Major League Baseball on Fox.
What I'm doing, getting right to it. The money is talking, I'm flowing, it's coming in just how I do it. Oh
my goodness! Major League Baseball all season long on Fox.
Welcome back, First and North. Lou Canellis with you from our Fox 32 studios in Chicago, joined by Dan Miller in Detroit, Lily Zhao in Milwaukee, and Ahmad Hicks in Minneapolis. NFL Top 100 list rolls on. Last week, Rashawn Gary in Green Bay, ranked at number 80. This week, you can add 2 more players to the list. Rolling it at 71, this guy's really good, man. Lions ball hawk and safety Kirby Joseph. And at 68, sorry, I'm still not buying the Jordan Love stock. At 68, I think he's too high. Lily, Jordan Love falls 34 spots from last season. Tell me I'm wrong.
Listen, it's a list. We can talk about the list. It is what it is. You can talk about if he's too high, he's too low, he doesn't belong. But for Jordan Love, it is what it is. I think he's still a top 100 player, obviously. But I think at the end of the year, he wants to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So he's going to do all he can this season with weapons he has to become a much better quarterback in his 3rd season as a starter for the Packers. And of course, we saw what Aaron Rodgers was able to do in his 3rd season with Green Bay. Jordan Love hopefully replicating that success in Titletown this season. So Jordan Love and the Packers, once they really get training camp rolling, it'll be a fun year to see how he does end up.
Hey, Dan, Joseph led the league in picks last season. This guy got paid big time this offseason. You know a little about his character. You think he just gets better?
Look, I love the kid. He's just he's fun, he's funny, he's great to talk to, and he is a ball hawk. And NFL teams will pay players that make plays on the football and can change games. He had 4 interceptions as a rookie, 4 interceptions his second year, and as you alluded to, he led the NFL with 9 interceptions last year. And you know what? He was the next one up for a contract at that position, and he's now the highest paid player in the league at that position. Kyle Hamilton in Baltimore is thanking him, probably, I don't know, maybe an edible arrangement, something like that, because he's going to pass Kirby when he signs his contract. It's just the way it works. Doesn't always mean you're the greatest. It does mean you're the latest. And I think with Kirby, he's done everything this team has asked him to do, and they back that up by giving him that contract, and they feel really good about the 2 safeties that they throw out there every week in Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. You'd be hard-pressed to find 2 better ones playing together in the NFL than we have right now in Detroit.
Ahmad, talk to me about Jordan Addison. The status still unclear to start the season, dealing with the DUI case. What's the latest?
Yeah, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the general manager of the Vikings, was actually asked about this earlier today, and he said, look, they're just waiting on the league to make a decision. He said everything is in their hands. You know, the court took care of their process, so they're just waiting on the NFL to hand out a suspension if they are going to hand out a suspension, which it seems likely they will, a 3-game suspension at that. But he talked about how they have other pieces on this team and how when they drafted, you know, a guy like Ty Felton, they were thinking this scenario may come to life, you know, with Jordan Addison missing some games. So it's just about the next man up. You know, some guys are going to have some big shoes to fill, but you do have Justin Jefferson on your team, so I'm pretty sure he can handle being, you know, the #1 receiver without Jordan Addison for a couple of weeks.
Lily, Packers opened up the checkbook, man, for right tackle Zach Tom. 4 years, $88 million. Tom gets the highest signing bonus for an offensive lineman in NFL history. Did you like the move?
I did. I think a lot of people were talking about, and rightfully so, Elton Jenkins and what his contract situation would be, would it get rectified before training camp? And then all of a sudden, the news of Zach Tom swoops in and kind of takes over. And to the credit of Elton Jenkins, who of course is seeking just some financial stability in terms of restructuring his contract, he was very supportive of Zach Tom, their right tackle, and the money he was able to get. And listen, I think the Packers made the right move. When you're looking at their offensive line, you have left guard guaranteed with Aaron Banks. You're supposed to have center guaranteed with Elton Jenkins, and then you want to secure Zach Tom. He has been phenomenal in pass pro and creating lanes and holes for Josh Jacobs to run through at that position. So what you want to do is make sure he stays in town for as long as possible. And to Zach's credit as well, he was in Green Bay during the offseason. Said it didn't really do him it did him a disservice not to really be in town. So he said, I'm not trying to worry about the contract. I want to be here. I want to get better. I want to be with my teammates. And luckily they were able to get this done, and Zach Tom gets paid. So a massive deal for him, and now it's a big year for him, obviously, to show why he is worth that money as well.
40 new players in camp for the Bears on their 90-man roster, 17 new coaches. Dan Miller, Lions lost so much this offseason, especially in regards to coaches and players for that matter. But the Lions brought back Johnny Morton. They promoted Kelvin Shepard. All eyes are on those two guys right now, especially Morton, to see if he can maintain that high-powered offense. Am I right?
Yeah, Dan Campbell talked about it today. Had an opportunity to sit down and chat with him and asked him what he was doing differently as a head coach. And he said, look, you're watching these guys. You're paying a little closer attention to the things that they're calling and the way that they're operating their units. And he said, what you really want to see now is, okay, it's 3rd and 2. What are you going to call? It's 3rd and 7. What are you going to call? And he said all that stuff obviously goes through him. And there may be a moment where he says, hey, why don't we think about this? So the biggest question to me is when you're under the gun and you have a critical call to make, be it on offense or defense, are you going to be ready to pass that test? Ben Johnson was, Aaron Glenn was. Now it's time for these guys to prove that they are. As we've talked about on this show before, I think the one big key is these coaches are known commodities to these players. Jared Goff has a relationship with Johnny Morton from Johnny Morton's time that he was here in 2022. Jared's talked about that. They can look at each other and say, no, man, we're not doing it like that. Let's do it like this. They have that ability to talk to each other and be real. And then Kelvin Shepard, look, he was the linebackers coach, but Aaron Glenn let him work with the entire defense. They all know Shep. They all know what he expects. There's no surprises there. So to me, the question isn't necessarily can they lead. The question is, okay, can you run a football game?
Interesting, and I agree with you. All right, ESPN ranked the top NFL rosters in the league. Lions, number 3, deserve to be there. Lions, number 3, Vikings at 11, Packers 14, Bears at 15. And I understand why the Bears are behind the Packers on the list, but I got to tell you, after the offseason and the moves that were made by General Manager Ryan Poles in this town, and I'm obviously a little partial towards the Bears. I think the Bears roster.
Just a little, huh, Luke?
Yeah, just a little bit. Don't call me out like that, Ahmad. Ahmad, you're calling me out. I'm going to put, well, here, listen to me. And Lily, I want you to jump in because I'm going to say that the Bears' rebuilt offensive line is better than the Packers right now. Joe Thuney is, I saw on the list, ranked 55th. And the guy is a 2-time All-Pro. We know what he did in Kansas City. He played with Tom Brady in New England. He's reliable. He's versatile. Even played left tackle when they needed him last year. I think the Bears are stronger at wide receiver and tight end. Quarterback and running back goes to Green Bay. Defensive line, Green Bay. Linebacker, in my opinion, a wash. Secondary, I think, goes to the Bears. I think the cornerback position here in Chicago is the strength of this team, and Jaylon Johnson, while healthy, he's on that top 100 list. And finally, if Jaquan Brisker stays healthy, Bears win at safety as well.
A lot of ifs there, Lou.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Lily?
Yeah, a lot of, yeah. Well, listen, I will give you guys credit on the defensive side of the football. You know, the Bears do have a very stout defense. I give them that. The secondary, you know, right now with Green Bay, again, you mentioned it, cornerback. What will that room look like without Jair Alexander? So you have more of a known commodity in Chicago with what you guys have back there at secondary. But you can't discount the Packers safeties and what they're going to be able to do behind Xavier McKinney. So I'll give that to you for now. But I'm going to make a bold prediction and say, when all is said and done, the Packers' wideout core will be better than Chicago's this season. I'm really excited about the new rookies they brought into town, and I love the fact that these guys know that, listen, last year, as a collective, there were too many drops, too many mental lapses. They're going to make a big jump together. You add in some talented rookies, and Jordan Love is cooking.
I would expect nothing
I would throw
different.
this in too, Lou. History will be written by the Bears themselves as to what kind of team they are. But in the NFL, the history of teams that go out and try to build this thing through free agency and dot the field with guys that they go out and spend big money on, it's not great. Drafting and developing has been proven to be the way to go. So I'm always a little wary of teams that go out and just start throwing money around and building guys. We'll see what happens here in the long run. But I think if you look at the best of the best over the years, it's usually teams that have drafted their players and developed their players from within.
Back after
Dan, stop.
this.
You're going to crush Chicago's feelings before the season even starts. Just calm down.
I love it, Dan. I love it.
Back after
I love
this.
Ahmad just
Cut
lobbing
their
it in
mics
from
off.
three-point range.
Cut their mics off.
This is the future of golf. It all starts here. Live Golf on Fox.
This is going to be hot. It'll be a party. Long live golf.
Let's go!
At the end of last season, the Bears won in Lambeau. And I don't know if it's gotten back to you, but Caleb Williams, our young quarterback, has said a few times this offseason that he is undefeated in Lambeau Field, and he's pretty pleased with that. What's it like to hear that, and what do you guys do about it?
Hey, man, he got lucky. But
what do you mean?
They got lucky. They got lucky, make the playoffs. And we're going to see him again this year, and we're going to remember he said that.
Lily, why all the hate from Green Bay? Come on, give us a little love.
You know, I figured we'd be talking about this on First and North today. Listen, it's a heated rivalry. I appreciate what Rashid said in terms of just standing up to listen. The Bears always talk about the Packers. Let's talk about the Bears a little bit. But credit to Chicago for winning in Green Bay. But Packers are kind of hoping for 1-0 in town this year. So, listen, I love the heated rivalry and just giving Caleb Williams and the Bears some flack. I love it.
Give us some love, guys. Great to see you. Camp has started. For Dan, Lily, and Ahmad, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week right here on First and North.